Welcome and thank you for tapping into some Untapped Keg. I am one of your hosts, RJ Zimmerman, here with my good friend Monte Ball. How you doing, big guy?
I'm good. I'm excited. Every time we have a guest, I'm telling you, man, it's like Christmas. It's like Christmas, man. You got those presents in the morning. First off, the anticipation, right, coming into the day. And then you got the presents and you want to open it up. So I'm excited to listen to our guest. Before we get there, again, all is well. RJ, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really well, except for my washer's broken and I cannot get the right part to fix it. So it's like Facebook might replace a new washer or try to fix this one. Who knows? It'd be a couple days.
You don't wash your clothes anyway, so don't see a problem.
Listen, there's many subtle layers of dirtiness, okay? Many layers. And it's not just clean and dirty. But
before we get, how many times can you wear your jeans a week without washing them?
Oh, you're saying a week? We're not talking months?
All right, let's get to the guest.
Without further ado, we're very, very excited to be joined by Brandon, better known as The Bear Project from twitch.tv/The Bear Project _ Brandon,
awesome.
How you doing today?
Hello, everyone. Doing great. It's a little gloomy out, but hey, I'm up. I'm alive and I'm breathing. I can't complain at all.
That's good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So, Brandon, we're really excited to have you on. For those who don't know, like, you're a new parent. Like, when we first started talking, you weren't a parent yet, but we knew it was going to happen. So I'm glad everything went amazing and you're able to join us today.
Yes.
I guess let's just what was the transition from expecting parent to now parent? Kind of, can you put it into words, I guess, that transition that happens there? Because it is tough. It is tough.
Yeah. And I think, for me, I might sound weird, but I didn't experience a feeling of nervousness at all. Like, I was more so excited because it's like, okay, now by myself, I feel very strong and very confident, but now I literally feel like I have a tether that's holding me down to the ground with this little one now. And the whole process, it was tough. It wasn't easy, just dealing with my partner and some of the changes that she was going through and just being supportive and being patient. I think that's the biggest thing, is supporting your partner and being patient, because they're going through a lot, but also don't forget, you're important too. Even with everything that's going on, don't forget, your health and how you feel and your feelings and everything as well, because I think that tends to happen a lot. I feel like, because we as men don't bear children, we tend to get put on the back burner. Oh, they'll be okay. They're not going through anything. But what I've learned is, as she was pregnant, kind of felt like I was too. I was going through different changes. I was eating crazy. I'm like, what in the world is going on with me? Why am I? No, I shouldn't be eating this late at night, but I can't. It's I can't help it. So it's I kind of got some of her symptoms as well. And it was a very humbling and eye-opening experience for me, because, like I said, it taught me to continue to support my partner and be patient, because if there is any time that they would need me to be there, that would be that time.
Absolutely. And did you read any books, parenting books leading up to it? Or not really? No, so not really. I didn't either. I read a few chapters, but I just couldn't do it. I don't know why. I could not. It was like a huge chore to me, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. But the one thing that I took away that they talked about at the beginning is something that you talked about there is, when your partner is pregnant and everything leading up to it, we as men do go through changes, and we do experience mental and physical changes along with it. It's not to the same level of women, but it's still it needs to be people need to understand that too. And, you know, you having that perspective is just, that's incredible. Like already, you know.
Yeah. Because I mean, look at it, you know, we have single parents, and I mean, man, just being a single parent, I can imagine how tough that must be. But like, you don't hear fathers saying Happy Father's Day on Mother's Day, but you do hear them saying Happy Mother's Day on Father's Day.
Yeah.
Kind of weird to me, because it's like, you know, I get it. You know, you're playing both mommy and dad, but that's still not your day. You're not a father. You're just a mom who has an unfortunate situation that they have to play both roles. And much respect to the women that do play both roles, because I can imagine it's not easy, especially with boys. But I think fathers need to be celebrated too, especially the ones that want and will be there. You know what I mean? We look at the deadbeats so much that it overshadows the dads that actually put in the work.
That are putting in like sometimes overwork to try to be in their child's life as much as they can. And there being so many gates, but them fighting through those gates to get to be in their child's life. Like, yes, absolutely. That needs to be celebrated.
Yes, I agree. But I like, and then once everybody was like, some of my friends was making bets like, oh my God, you're going to pass out when you go see, you can see the delivery and stuff like that. I'm like, no, not like, I've seen worse things than that. Like that doesn't bother me. And I didn't pass out at all. If anything, you know, I thought it was a very, it's an eye opener for sure, because it's like, wow, you know, that makes me have even more respect for women, because it's like, you guys can do that.
Right.
On top of everything else, man, that's, I don't know. I can't put it any more clearer. Like that is, I can imagine that is probably one of the most, if not the most painful experiences that women have to deal with. So for me to be able to be there and hold her hand and walk her and guide her through it, and then to see this little human here breathing, you know, crying and everything like that, it's just like, I looked at her and I was like, wow, like we did that. We created this little human. And it's been a beautiful experience ever since.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool stuff. How old at the current moment?
Today he is exactly 2 weeks. He was born on Halloween.
Oh wow. That's a fun birthday. That's a really fun. Everybody has a party for you on your birthday. That is awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
That's some pretty cool stuff. And I think, the first 2 weeks are you learn a lot about yourself in those first 2 weeks. It's like a lot comes at you, as you stated, the emotions, so many different feelings that you may have suppressed or just feeling that connection. So my question to you, man, and I already know the answer to this, but I love hearing folks talk about it. Like the first time you held your child, like that energy, like what did you feel the first time?
I knew at that point, okay, if it comes down to it, you're willing to give your own life so that they have a better one.
Mm-hmm.
If it comes to sacrificing your own life, that is not there is no hesitation. There is no second guessing. There is no second thought. It will be. And
Absolutely.
you know, just like when he slept on my chest, like as he heard my heartbeat, it was just like, man, now like I have to be even more careful about what I do and what I say, because we as parents think kids don't see anything. They see and hear everything, and they mimic it too.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. It is
my sponges, man.
Yeah, they really are.
Father of two boys who are about a year and a half apart. They don't just like see and mimic it. Like they take the parenting and do it on each other.
Yes.
So do you want time out? You need time out. Go sit in the chair. Yeah. You know, like it is like, you have to be very cognizant of that. And I mean, I probably don't censor my language enough around them, but at the same time, I kind of want them to know how I really talk like that. But also, you know, that, yes, it is just amazing what they pick up and what they see. And it's really cool. I know, you know, from my own experience, my wife's first labor was not easy. And my first child had to be literally like a plunger had to be put on his head and pulled out of my wife.
Wow.
And I don't think a lot of parents see this, because our second one was so much easier and it was like he just slipped all out. But when they pulled the first time, his head came out and that was the only thing I could see. And he you could see his eyes move around the room. And like, I lost it at that point. That's when I started just the waterworks. I mean, just like with all the emotions that was coming out of everything. And then they pulled again and he came out and he was a healthy baby boy. But just that moment of seeing him in the world and then seeing that he's already looking around, taking stock, and like, it's just, it's beautiful. And that just reminded me of, your story reminded me of that. And it's just, there's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, and, you know, I think that, you know, I think things like that should be talked about too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just, because sometimes they say like the first kid is the roughest. Like that's kind of like the hardest one, because, I guess like anything can go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you have the second one, it's like much easier.
I would say that's when you're most anxious. So with the first one, like the first time he had a cough, we're in the doctor's office. The second one, I mean, he's got to be bleeding. We're not going to the doctor for nothing, right?
Dude, that's how I was brought up, being the middle child. Dude, the second child, I was bleeding all over the place and stuff like that. And like, oh no, you're good. Just, go get that Sprite, the Sprite in the refrigerator, and that. I was like,
and that's crazy, because as the second child, like, I know for a fact I put my mother through the ringer. You know what I mean? Like scrapes and falls, accidents, things of that nature. And now I'm kind of like scared, because I'm like, I'm probably gonna get everything I gave my parents back from him.
You gotta hope that it's your wife, man. You gotta hope that it's your partner, right? You gotta hope it's your partner more.
Tenfold.
Right.
My son, so Sunday's church, and my son the other day straight up just said, he was like, every time you go to church, 5 years old, go to church, I'm gonna go to sleep. He said that.
They're so honest, right?
That's exactly what he said. He said, I just want to go to sleep. And it took everything in me to not bust out laughing.
Yes.
Oh, that's the hardest part. That is literally, to me, the hardest. I mean, there's obviously other parts that are difficult, but to me, watching them, just observe and watching them just do things that you're like, that's for sure me right there. And it's so hard for me not to just burst out laughing.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks old right now, you'll get there soon enough. It's gonna be.
But I was gonna say, my 3-year-old gave me a 4-minute lecture yesterday in the car while we were going to get dinner, that if I want to be in this family, I have to answer questions yes or no. And so when I ask you a question, it's a yes or no. Do you want to be in this family? Because if you don't answer it with a yes or a no, then I don't know if you're going to be in this family anymore, Daddy. So you need to ask yourself, do you want to be in this family? He literally, like 2 minutes of this, and I'm like, where did you hear this?
Like he literally just gave you a whole villain monologue.
Yeah,
literally.
And it was because I said, "Do you not want to go to the park anymore? Yes or no?" And he said yes. And I'm like, "Okay, we won't go to the park then if you don't want to go." And he said, "I said yes, and yes means yes to the park." And that was when we started going on that because he wouldn't put his seatbelt on. So it was, if you don't want to go back to the park, don't put your seatbelt on. That's fine. So, and then I was like, oh. This is one of those things that happens, and you're like, I cannot believe this just happened.
Yeah, what do you do at that point? Yeah, for sure. And then another thing, and I'm actually glad that I'm actually glad that it's kind of ironic, but it's so awesome that you guys are, one of you is Caucasian and the other one is Black, like. So, of course, my partner is Caucasian mixed with other things, and I'm Black mixed with other things. So it's like how we as fathers, we have to teach our children that color doesn't define character, especially now. These times, this world is absolutely nuts. I'm sure you guys have seen all the craziness. So, I just think that we as parents have to, inform them about certain things, because you don't want your child to go into the world and say, or, do the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to teach, and I know it may be tough for my son because he may or may not get the issues that I've gotten. So, and I also don't like the fact that, some of my friends who are Caucasian, they get a bad rep for being friends with me. That should
really,
I mean, I'm just like, that shouldn't be a thing, as long as I'm not putting my friends in imminent danger,
exactly,
or putting them in bad situations. I don't understand what the problem is. So, I think that's another thing we should teach our children to, the color of your friends doesn't define who they are. It's how they treat you and how they treat themselves and others that you should look at.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because this world is just it's full of shenanigans, bad ones too, and if we don't teach our kids, the wrong person will.
Yeah. And I mean we've already seen that. So Monte is my brother-in-law, so my kids are half Black, and we actually moved from Wisconsin to Virginia to be in a more diverse area so that they can be more surrounded with people that look like them and have, it's more about who they are and what they put in the box that defines them rather than them being put in a box. And I didn't realize, so, my partner is a marriage and family therapist, has her master's and all of this stuff. And she brought it to my attention that kids learn better in an environment with other kids that look like them. And I didn't know that. But I'm from small town. I'm white. I grew up around all white people pretty much. Like there's a few Black people, few Hispanic, Latino, but like it was 95% white. And so I did not realize that was an issue because I grew up in such a bubble. But since we owned a daycare where we were at, and it was all races and everything. And, my son learned really fast. He's a very fast learner. But when we came here, he has 2 Black men teachers. And the first thing he commented on was my music teacher, and it said his name, his name, and he's like, he's brown. He's like uncle, but he's not uncle.
Yeah.
Those are his exact words. It's like,
you never told me that.
Okay. Yeah. I thought I told you that. So he said that, and then the other one's his gym teacher comes in, and he's like, "Oh, our gym teacher was there, and he was brown, like the music teacher, but it wasn't him." And I was like, "Well, yeah." It's just amazing how early they pick up on this stuff, and it really does matter. Yeah. And you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it does. And that's interesting that I like how they didn't say black, they said brown.
Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting. I like that, because I feel like it's the black is of course we're associated with that, but the fact that he mentioned the actual skin color,
right?
Yes,
that's really interesting.
If you listen to when kids describe people, and I know this from Monte's cousin, because I heard him talk about it too. Isaiah talking to your uncle.
Yep.
And they don't. Yeah, it's always brown, tan, dark tan. Like the actual colors. So like like you said, black is literally what white people put on it. Like that is what it is. Right. And true. Rewriting history, obviously it's a real thing, and trying to teach them and not wanting to teach them. And I had to have a conversation with my son last night. We found a squirt gun on the ground, and my partner and I don't let him play with guns, period. And if it's called a gun, he can't play with it. And I had to get down to his level and talk to him that you need to let your friend go and play with that. Don't play with it, because we don't play with it, because I don't want somebody to come here and hurt you on accident, because that's a real life thing.
It's happened.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Right.
And he's a tall 3-4-year-old. Most people think he's like 6. They think he's a lot more advanced than what he is.
Yeah.
And so if he continues that, he's going to be put in bad situations. And that's something that a lot of parents don't have to think about either, that it worries me sick.
Yeah.
And, at my old job, I would tell people this too. I used to think that I was worried about somebody taking my innocence from my children, but I learned that my children don't have that privilege, that I have to take the innocence from my children, because they are mixed, right? Because they are, as America defines them, black men. I have to take the innocence from them, or else it could be the difference between life and death. And that's sad. It's something people don't have to think about. And I wish it wasn't that way, but unfortunately
it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Unfortunately. Right. And I'm glad that you did. I'm glad you said, because I'm actually gonna take heed to that advice. When my little guy gets older and he's old enough to talk and things like that, and when he does have a situation that he is disagreeing with, I'm gonna get down and literally look at him on his level, and we will have those conversations, because like you said, it's happened. Kids have been shot for playing with toy guns that got mistaken.
And I mean, they weren't even close. Like, they didn't look a lot like a real gun is the problem.
No, they got the orange tip at the end.
Yeah,
you can tell. But because we live in a world where, literally, it's like shoot first, ask questions later. Kids have unfortunately been on the receiving end of that, whether it is from officers or being an innocent bystander in the middle of a drive-by that has nothing to do with them, but because the people using the weapons don't know proper etiquette to know your target and what's behind it. Kids end up getting caught in the crossfire. Innocent souls who have not a care in the world and nothing to do with your very minute and small issue.
Right.
And now a young kid is taken way too soon before they even got a chance to experience life. We don't need any more of that.
No,
we don't.
No. I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I just think, I think we as parents have to. And I like the fact that you said that. I like the fact, hey, you let your friend go play with that gun. You don't pick that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Important topics. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that there has to be this extra precaution, right? Extra precaution that we have to teach our brown children because of racial profiling. That's really what it is. And then the other side of that, or I guess what is also unfortunate about it too, is how folks out there still don't believe that it exists. And so,
yeah, like, how are you that blind? Like, really? Are you serious? If you don't see it and with your own eyes, the news does a great job.
Right. Right. And that's the thing with social media. I mean, there's literally live videos of it.
Live.
Oh my God. It's like an everyday thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you're being willfully ignorant.
Yep.
At this point, you're choosing not to see. Okay. Well, this is how it's all fun and games until it happens to you. Then, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Well, you chose not to see it.
Yeah.
You turned a blind eye to it. So, what? I mean, I don't understand.
Right. Well, you understand.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
we know. We know, but we kind of want to transition here. I think that was awesome. I think
absolutely.
I think we might have dropped the ball a little bit, and I think we would love to hear, man, about your streams, about your schedule, what you talk about, your audience, all that stuff, man. I think that would be awesome.
So for me, my my channel, the Bear Project, I literally am an advocate for mental health. Ironically, this is Men's Mental Health Month.
Right.
And I think it is important because we as men, society has already told us if we cry, we're soft, we're a punk, even to a point we might have dated people that when we express the feeling, oh, you need to grow up and be a man, or, even as kids, oh, you want to cry, stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about. We've heard it multiple times and on many different occasions. And that's not the case. The fact that you have emotions make you more of a man than you think. That when you don't when you choose not, that's called pride.
Right.
Absolutely.
Pride and ego are two of the biggest downfalls when it comes to men. And holding it in does not make it any easier. It makes it worse, because then you end up, it's like shaking a soda.
Exactly.
When you pull the top off, the soda will shoot out, and then it will hit everybody in the vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you become that soda, you end up hurting the people who love you the most, because they're the closest to you. And they don't deserve that. You know what I mean? So I feel like, we as men have to, we gotta break that stigma. We have to. There's nothing wrong with showing emotion. If your partner or friends or whomever has a problem with you being emotional and vocal about your feelings, those aren't people you need to associate yourself with. I mean, it's just plain and simple.
It's true.
I'd like for you to say that again. Say that part again.
Yeah, those people, friends, significant other, family. Hey, sometimes family do you in quicker than strangers will. Just putting that out there. No matter who it is, if they have a problem with you being vocal about your feelings, I mean, it's called communication. If they have a problem with that, those are not the people you need to associate yourself with. You need to associate yourself with people who give you the space to be vulnerable. Because yes, as men, it's not easy to be vulnerable. It's not. It is the equivalent of, I compare it to being on stage and you are completely naked and you're expecting everyone, the entire world is watching you, and you expect everyone to be like, okay, we'll take our clothes off too.
Mm.
To me, that is what vulnerability is. And not one person will judge you for it because nobody's perfect. So, I talk about mental health and, we have the occasional breakfast war. We talk about different cereals and what cereal is the best. I try to make my channel a place where no matter who you are, no matter what you believe in, your race, your anything, you can come to my stream and feel like you are amongst family,
Mm.
a very active and listening family, not a family that just listens to respond, but a family that listens to understand. And we have moments. We have moments where someone comes in and they pour their entire life out, and I sit there and listen because sometimes people don't need a response. Sometimes people just need to get it off. They just need to hear. They need to know that they're being heard. Sometimes that's enough. That's enough to stop them from jumping off the ledge.
Mm.
And my community is the same way. Jenny, of course, you guys know her.
Oh yeah.
Another amazing person. She where is it? Oh yeah, it's in the cabinet. I got her mug, her feelings words mug because but it's a brilliant idea.
It is.
Why?
It's amazing.
Because it's a brilliant idea. Why? Because we always say, "Oh, I'm okay. I can't complain. I'm maintaining." No. Find a word that fits it.
Mm-hmm.
Find a word that fits how you feel. And if I don't know the word, hey, guess what? I'll go look it up.
Mm.
And then I want to get into why you feel that way.
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So, big shout out to her for putting me on that kind of notice with that. And I play different kinds of games, Resident Evil. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan, a huge Sonic fan, Metal Gear. I play all kinds of games. It's not a specific game that I play, but I play all kinds of games. But for me, the biggest thing is, making others, letting others know that they're not alone in their fight.
Yeah.
That feeling hurts, to feel like you're alone and you don't have anyone that you can turn to. Even if I don't have all the answers, guess what? I'm not the only person in my community. There is a village of us. If I don't have the answers, I can easily direct you to someone who does. You know what I mean? So
It's amazing.
Right. I just want everyone to come in, be genuinely themselves, and feel like, hey, if I'm having a bad day or if I'm having a good day, I can come to Bear Stream and let it all loose, and I feel good afterwards. The rest of the day doesn't seem so hard, and that's literally what my channel is about.
I like that. I like how you use the word village too.
Yes,
I really like how you use the word village, because we all understand it takes a village, and
it does.
And in the process of mental health or addiction recovery, you need that community, that social connection, that sense of belonging. That's pretty cool stuff. I got a question for you though. So the name Bear, is that your favorite animal?
Yes. It's become like kind of like my moniker in a sense, because I went through, before I met my partner now, I went through a very tough time with my last relationship, and I kind of was a bear. I went into hibernation, and I took the time to grieve, process, and analyze everything. And then when I came out, I just went like full steam ahead, worked on fixing myself, worked on anything that I felt like I needed to address. And I came out like a full grown bear at this point. And even more so now, of course, because now I have a little cub, it makes it even more. But yes, for me, the bear is my favorite animal, just because of, like the strength and the bravery, and just at any given moment, if my kid is in danger, you know what bears do at that point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially the mama bear.
Yeah,
especially the mama bear.
That's the one you really got to worry about.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everybody knows.
That's the one. That is the one. No, I'm glad you shared that. I wanted for folks to understand. Obviously we're going to continue going here, but I wanted to get that part in there. People understand who you are, what your streams are about, and I think that's important. That being men's health, the importance of expressing your feelings or just being heard. I also love how you said that too, because I learned that a couple of years ago. I went through this pilot program, this pilot study of this mindfulness. Right, 3 days, no phone, out at a ranch. Mm-hmm. And the guy who ran it, he took the program from Google, learned it from Google and stuff, and taught us. And a huge component of it was active listening.
Yes,
active listening, where we did the active listening for like 2 hours, where I would just have to sit across the table and listen to a woman or a man talk for like 45 minutes. And they said, just talk about anything. Doesn't matter. Just talk. And your job is just to not respond. Just listen. And it's remarkable what you can learn about yourself when you do that. Excuse me. I gotta blow my nose here real quick.
Yeah. And to further. Yeah, absolutely, man. My thing was, therapy helped me as well with listening. And then as I'm listening, I'm receiving everything that my partner or someone else is saying to me. And then I give it back to them to let them know, hey, I heard every word you were saying. So don't feel like I'm just sitting there rolling my eyes, sucking my teeth, or like giving visual body language of me being annoyed with the conversation because it may not be going in my way, or you may be talking about something that I don't want to hear at the moment. No, This is me. All right, phone gone. My attention I am tunnel vision. I am strictly looking at you and hearing you out. Mm-hmm. And then we go from there.
Absolutely. Man, that stuff's important.
It is.
I like this. I like this. I like this.
I was really excited for the stream because your vibe, it matches our own so much. Yeah. And you have so much wisdom, and like it's fun listening to you talk about all of these topics, because you bring, such a wide view on all of it, and it's fantastic. You talked about how us as men can have, we were raised in this environment of toxic masculinity, right? Like I can remember exactly everything that you said, right? Quit crying, I'm gonna give you something to cry about, like everything. Even going through my senior year of high school, like, my very last baseball game. I'm never gonna play baseball dressed up in a uniform again. I'm just not. And being told, stop crying, you're a man. You gotta be a man now. It's breaking that stigma, especially relating it to what our last topic was, which was being a father. Do you have anything that you're going to be working on, right? Like techniques or tools that you're kind of building up a little bit to put in your toolbox to be able to help combat not passing that toxic masculinity down to the little cub?
Yes. If my son cannot vocally speak it, I want him to write it down and give it to me. Because I know we as people, when in the heat of the moment, when you ring a bell, you can't unring it, and you end up saying things that you can't take back. So I want him to be able to write down his feelings, because just in case he's like, no, not that word. I don't like that word. Let me use a different word. That matters too. Because a word, the delivery of the word, the tone of the word can change the whole direction of a conversation. Because now it doesn't feel like you're venting. It almost feels like an attack.
Yep.
And I don't want to be that parent that feels like, that makes their child feel like, oh, I'm scared to talk to my dad, because if I talk to my dad, he's going to like go off on. No, no, this is active listening. Son, what's wrong? And then with him, I want him to say what's wrong, how it made him feel. I don't want him, oh, well, this boy at school, he hit me. How did that make you feel? Because it's easy to say that, but I want my son to be able to project his feelings.
Yeah.
Very important.
A lot of kids rebel against their parents because their parents aren't engaged enough in asking these questions. That's why they go to other people. And sometimes it's the wrong influence.
Absolutely. And
that technique is sweet. Actually, sorry, I'm stuck on that.
Getting them to talk about their emotions, right? So that's something that my partner is really big in and is ecstatic with how, emotionally intelligent, honestly, both my kids are already. They're already head and shoulders more than daddy, which is good. That makes me happy too. But, just respecting their intelligence too. Like if I can give a tip. So even at 1, at 2, if I tell them no, they can't do something, I explain why. And it's not that, and it's not always, for them. Sometimes it's for myself. Like, am I doing this just because I'm being a lazy parent? Or, is it better for them? Can I put my logic behind it? But also then they know after that why they can't do it. And then they're less likely to repeat it. And that's something that I've tried to incorporate in. And I loved your answer. It is incredible. I'm going to be using that as soon as he's able to write, it's going to be just write it down, little man.
Right. And I'm going to teach my son one quote that sticks with me. It stuck with me forever. Those who forget are doomed to repeat. You forgot that you made that mistake. Guess what? You're going to repeat it.
Yep.
And another thing that I want to do is, I want to, when my son is old enough, I want to show him, son, this is why, for instance, drugs. Son, this is what happens when you take too much. You overdose. You know what happens? You die. I don't want that for you. Daddy has never done anything with drugs. I understand like now, it's a phenomenon at this point. You know what I mean? It's everywhere, unfortunately. And, it's crazy. I was just talking to my mom about this. I was born in 88. So now I wish I could snap a finger. We can go back to the 90s.
Right.
So much easier.
Without
have all this to worry about.
Yeah.
It was Saturday morning sitting in front of the TV with a ginormous bowl of cereal, watching Doug, watching Darkwing Duck, DuckTales. That's what my life was. My life wasn't worrying about finding needles on the ground or kids being part of trafficking.
Yeah.
What? Oh, no. Nope. Now, even more so, that's why I said we have to be more cautious as parents. And it sucks that we have to have this extra precaution. But we ourselves, and we need to teach our children, keep your head on a swivel at all times. When you walk in, take them headphones out. Don't be face deep in your phone. No, look around. Because when you don't, you never know who's watching you outside.
Right.
You need to be prepared at all times. Because there may be a point where I am not there with you, walking with you.
Exactly. Brandon, where'd you grow up, man?
I was born and raised in DC.
Okay.
And now I live in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay. Yeah, I can. As soon as you got to that part of what you were saying, head on the swivel and everything, I was like, okay, where is he from? Okay. Makes a lot of sense, and there's a lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that. I think, man, when this conversation I really enjoy because RJ, you mentioned it. Brandon, you've been talking about it this entire time. That being the emotional intelligence component. That's essentially what this all is, and especially the technique of writing your feelings down. So when I was in therapy, pretty intensive therapy, that's what my therapist instructed for me to do. I was really struggling with sharing my emotions. Love my father to death. My father knows I love him to death, but my father grew up in a household where, rest my grandfather's soul, but my grandfather really wasn't engaged or involved in his children's emotional well-being. Yeah. I'm sure you understand. You understand a little more probably about it. Us grandparents were more so of just, they lived very tough lives, very tough lives back then. And so they were just focused on, hey, there's a roof over your head, that refrigerator has food in it. Yep, yeah, you're good to go. But there's so much more that goes into raising children, of course. And so my therapist instructed for me to write my feelings down because I was struggling with talking about certain moments in my life, and then a huge piece of my story revolves around the game of football as well too. Sports, how you're taught in sports not to show, don't cry, don't show your opponent that you're sweating, that you're bleeding, that you're tired. Obviously, don't give up, or rather, I should say,
don't quit.
Don't quit and all that stuff. And for me, I think that really has to change.
Yes.
Coaches have to understand that they're also teachers as well. You are teachers, and to some men, some women as well, you were a father figure or mother figure, the only one in their lives. And so back to what I was saying, I'm all over the place here, but I think it's important what you stated right there, that technique of writing your feelings down, writing your emotions down. That really helped me work through a lot of my stuff and fixing my behavior big time.
Yeah. And to continue that, it helped me as well. Now this conversation is about to get even more real. Yeah. So it helped me through my teenage years because at 15, I lost my father. And at that age, that's the age that we need our dads. Like, we're going through all kinds of changes. We like girls and all this other stuff is going on. You're like, what in the world is wrong with me? And, I didn't have my father there because he was taken from me by force. And that's why I kind of like left a little breadcrumb that, family will do you in quicker than strangers, because it was my uncle, his own brother, that took him from this world. So that's another thing that I have to share with my son when my son is like, Dad, where's granddad? And I have to tell him this horrible moment in my life. But what I can say is I'll be able to like vocalize it, because at that age, trying to get a word out of me was not happening at all. So writing it down, and I wrote it in poetry. That was a way for me to like cleverly write it out. Whereas though it's not so boom in your face, but if you read in between the lines, you'll see, no, it's something deeper going on here. So I've learned to write my feelings down in the event that I can't, vocalize it. And that goes even towards texting. Because I think all three of us can agree, text messages is way different from face to face.
Yep.
I could misinterpret your text. To me, your text may come off aggressive, but here you might be crying your eyes out as you're texting me. But I can't see that. So now that's a whole nother argument, because now I'm thinking you're talking to me one way and you're not. So, writing it down helped me out so much. Like writing anything down, like even if it was about myself. Oh my God, I don't like how this part of my body looks, or um, I want to change something about myself. Writing it down, like, and even with the negative stuff, another technique: write all your negative stuff down, ball it up, throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, a lot of things you're not going to be able to control. The less you worry about the things you can't, the more you can focus on the things that you can. We're so bent on, oh, you know, um, for instance, you could think of a situation that is literally out of your control. Oh my God, my tire was flat. We're stressing out about the tire being flat, but we don't clean the roads. That's out of your control. Now, what you can do, you can put the donut on and get to your destination safely, or put the donut on and go to a tire shop. That don't harp so much on the problem that you just feel like there's no solution. No, there is a solution. You just have to be uh aware of it. We harp so much on the problem. It's like we forget. Oh, well, yeah, I don't clean the roads. It probably was a nail or something, maybe some glass. Fine. Put the donut on, get to my destination safely, or put the donut on, get to a tire shop, brand new tire. Now you're back on the road.
Right.
That it reminds me of, we had a guest on that had this amazing insight, and her final statement to us was, what you focus on longest will become the strongest. And if you focus on that negatives, then you're going to believe that everything is negative, whether you can control it or not.
Yep.
And that's kind of the mindset that you can control. That it's not about that toxic positivity, which is a real thing, right?
Yes, it is.
That's something to think about, because there is negativity, and you have to deal with your negativity, or else it's just going to eat at you. Like you said, you're going to be that bottle of soda ready to pop. So that, your insight there of being able to let go, realize what you can't control, and then letting go of it, as soon as you can, that's all. And as an alcoholic, that's massive, right? What can I control? Whether I pick up that bottle or not, that's what I can control. Yep. And that's where it starts.
Choice. Yeah, it starts with you.
Yep.
That response time, that gap from the stimulus to how you respond.
Yes.
There's that gap in space right there to where you can make a decision.
Yep.
The goal is to extend that gap as opposed to it being shrunk. Yes. To where you were responding quickly with anger or dwelling, impulse. Exactly. Thank you. Yep. So the expansion of that time and space right there in between the stimulus and your responses, pivotal. It's pivotal. It's very, very important.
Yeah.
Very, very important. It's crucial. I learned that reading a book. Which is awesome. Folks come into your stream and you could be literally saving folks' lives.
Yeah.
Just by listening.
And we all can do it. You know what I mean? It's not just it's not just a me thing. The reason I do it is to inspire others to do it, because I didn't have that when I was little. So now I want to be able to give that to somebody who needs it. Because like we both just said, that is unreasonable to expect people to go through things and for them to reach out to us. We need to reach out to them, and we need to be more vigilant in reading the signs. Sometimes it's a little hard to, but trust your gut. When your gut is telling you, hey, something's off. I don't like that tweet that they just posted. I don't like that status they just posted. You haven't been live in a minute. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay? Is everything fine? Do you need anything? How can I help?
How can I help?
That is really important. That is definitely something that we don't think about enough, and that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Like, thank you for coming on and providing your wisdom.
Thank you for the invite.
That's awesome, man. This is awesome.
If people want to keep up with you, how can they do that?
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter, my Instagram, and my Twitch are the same name, so you don't have to worry about, oh my God, does he have different name? No, it's all the Bear Project _. If anyone, like I said, if you need to reach out or anything like that, if you need to talk, please do not hesitate. If you reach out, I will definitely make sure I check in with people as much as I can to make sure that, people are okay, because, I'm only one man, but I want to inspire all of us, the village, to do the same amongst each other. We'll be a better village that way.
Absolutely.
I think it's also like you've done such a great job, Brandon, of again, these are tough conversations.
Yes.
These are tough conversations, and I think you've done from this and from your streams an amazing job of making folks feel comfortable, having the tough conversations, and I think that's important too. So I just kind of wanted to give you your kudos on that, man. That's a huge piece too that people got to understand.
It is, and like podcasts like these, just providing those platforms for people to speak about the demons that they have to battle. That's amazing. Like, that's something that I do as well on Twitch. I have a podcast called Deeply Rooted, and it's like, saying like you guys are a podcast is a very surface level way to identify you. You guys are people too.
Right.
So who are you as people? Not as podcasters. People. That's the part. Take the mask off.
Yeah.
We need to see who you truly are. What makes you click? What drove you to be this person that you are today? What have you gone through? You know what I mean? So between that and like Bare Your Soul, where like, that's when I leave the floor open for anyone to talk about what's going on. We discuss different topics and things of that nature. Just having these kind of platforms, we need more of them, because mental health is so slept on and underrated. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's only until now, when COVID has affected the entire planet, that mental health. No, we shouldn't have a mental health month or a mental health day or World Kindness Day. This should be 24/7, 25/8.
Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely. For real. It should be. And thank you for sharing the word, and Absolutely. Everybody check out Brandon. Yeah, yes, really awesome stuff. And Monts, if people want to find you, how can they keep up with you?
Yes, Monteball28 on Twitter, Monteball on Instagram, obviously our Untapped Keg pages as well. Please shoot us topics, questions, any guests you'd like to see, and we will try to accommodate your requests. RJ, where can they find you?
I got a guest for you guys too.
All right.
ITZ Trickster. The I is a 1 in Trickster on Twitter, and then Untapped Keg, untappedkeg@gmail.com. Untapped Keg on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Send us messages. Let us know how we're doing. You send us messages, we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. And it can be about anything. We want to be there for support as well. And let us know if we had somebody reach out a few weeks ago because we had a sponsor that was gambling, and we talked about that, and then we got more feedback, and we moved away from it because that is not what we want to be about. We want to be there for everybody, and that is so feel free to talk about anything. Like, we don't take it as an attack, we take it as a conversation, and that's what we want to have with the world, is a conversation.
Yes.
So what were you gonna say, Brandon?
So I have a guest that I think would be a very great addition. I have two of them actually that I think would be very great additions. One One of them, his name is Initial D. I'll send you his Twitter, and then the other one, they're probably gonna kill me because I shout them out all the time. But they are very inspirational to me. Wreck-It Raven.
Oh, sure.
Okay. I think RJ, you told me about that. I think before, right?
Yeah.
That Twitter handle. I'm pretty sure you did.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
So, yeah.
I actually talked to her about how Virginia is before we moved here. So, you know, thank you so much for taking time out of your day
appreciate it.
Thank you for the invite.
Everything that that you shared with us. This was amazing. Thank you for dealing with the technical difficulty of 2-year-old running rampant.
Baby genius.
Oh yeah. And you know, everybody, let's try to be better tomorrow than we were today, because at least we don't make it, we tried. That's all we can do. So have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
All righty.